What up, boys? Today we're going to review Diene, one of the most popular limited heroes of all time, a true waifu, and one of my favorite heroes, actually. So, as always, we're going to go over skills, builds, PvP, and then summarize. Let's start with her skills first. Diene's an absolute beast, and you'll see in a second, her skill animations are just awesome. Her S1 for Soul Weaver, it doesn't really heal her or anything. But the thing it does is when she attacks, it does Soul Weaver damage, so it doesn't do a lot. But it does boost her combat readiness by 10 to 15%, depending on Mola's, and it doubles if she's buffed. So if she has her buffs up, it boosts her CR by 30%, which means she turn cycles really fast. And that'll get more important when we talk about her other two skills. Her S2 covers all allies with a barrier, and at max Mola, the one thing about Diene is she's kind of Mola intensive for a Soul Weaver, so you really have to Mola her to make her good, but it gives you a thick barrier, decently thick barrier, and dispels one debuff from her entire team, and it looks freaking awesome. It's like she summons like a Heart of Orbis or something. Now her S3 animation-wise is probably one of my favorite moves in the game. Let's go over what it does first. It increases attack and critical hit resistance of all allies for 3 turns. Now, critical hit resistance is kind of a rare buff, not many people have it, but basically it reduces the critical hit chance of the enemy team by 50%. So if they have like a lot of crit damage, it's actually better than a heal because it mitigates so much damage. Like instead of taking someone who has like damage from like 350% crit damage, it just turns into a normal hit, and it's very easy to survive when they're not critting you. It also increases her combat readiness by 50%. So the normal combo is she does this, and then she turn cycles real fast and puts up a barrier and dispels right away. So she's really great for openers. Let's look at this animation. Like, I don't know what it is about it, that sound effect, and just these wing things. It's just my favorite S3 in the game, probably. So let's watch it again. That's just badass. So her kit synergizes really well because she basically opens, gives your whole team an attack buff, makes them extra tanky by preventing them from being crit. Then she usually follows up after the enemy team has gotten their turns right away, cleanses any debuffs, gives you a barrier. If you have Rod, heals them a little bit. And then she turn cycles really fast because of her S1. And that's the thing about her, because it's a 3-turn attack buff, basically, your team has constant uptime on the attack buff and the crit hit resistance buff, which is what you want. You want her to constantly be a little bit faster than your team, so your team is perpetually buffed. So that's her skills. Let's go over her builds. Alright, so how do you build Diene? Standard Soul Weaver, you want a lot of defense, health, speed, and effect resistance. Now, defense, mine's a little on the low end. I would say you probably want at least 1,500 defense. Dienes typically have less life than other Soul Weavers. You could probably get away with as low as 16, but I wouldn't go any lower than that. Speed, you want her to be fast. I'd say minimum like 190, but really Dienes, you want her to be fast. So good ones are usually like 210, 220. Effect resist, it depends on what you're using it for. If you're using her in RTA a lot like I do, you really need a minimum of 150 effect resist. I know a lot of people will try to get more to like 150, 180. Effect resist on Soul Weavers is so important in RTA. In other content, it's not so important. So if you don't care about RTA, don't care about effect resist, but otherwise you really need her to have a minimum of 100. So those are the stats you want. Remember, for Diene, speed is very important as well. Some people slack on speed for certain Soul Weavers. You cannot do that with Diene. You need your Diene to be fast. Artifacts, really, you just want to use Rod of Amaryllis. Rod of Amaryllis is so strong on Diene. I want to say that in my experience, 95% of the Dienes I run into are using Rod. You can use other options. You can use like Diene's artifact if you care more about AoE healing, but it's limited. You can use Celestine, you can use Idol's Cheer, Wondrous Potion Vial. You have access to all those great artifacts, but really there's a reason why everyone's using Rod. It really helps her with the sustain and synergizes well with her abilities because she turns cycles really fast and is constantly using non-attack skills. You probably really want her on Rod. But if you don't have it, fine, use one of those other artifacts. So now let's go into a PvP showcase. Alright, so Diene's a Soul Weaver, so there's nothing super cool I can do, but let's try and three-man this triple ML5 defense with Charles to showcase that Diene, despite having no healing abilities, can sustain a team to some extent. So I'm just gonna not burn this. Save the souls for Spectre Tenebria. Excellent. We'll get Elbrist though. Alright, good. No dual proc. Now we put up anti-crit. And, hell, I don't know. Can I even stun the Apoc Ravi? Yeah, why not? Let's try to stun the Apoc Ravi. Hopefully I don't get Elbrist here. She does get stunned and no Elbrist. FCC puts up the barrier thingy, but everyone's unbuffable. Apoc Ravi loses her turn. And now let's give everyone a nice comfortable barrier. Ruel heals the Apoc Ravi. Let's see if we can weaken attack them. Oh no. Now Charles does the S3. The anti-crit worked. No one got crit. Let's see if we can finish off this Ruel. Oh, and there's no way. She's very tanky. Screw it, let's hit her again. Now Charles is dead. And we're gonna hit Ruel again, because she's gonna blow the revive on Charles now. So now she's out of heals. So all I have to do is sustain up, finish off this Ruel, and I think I'll be alright. So we're just gonna keep hitting her. And look how fat, like Diene pops up all the way over there because she gets a 30% CR bump when she has a buff up. Basar doesn't get crit, so see how much damage I'm mitigating even though I'm not really doing anything? Ooh! So we're gonna try and kill this Ruel here. I mean, she's definitely gonna die. Let's see if we can push back their team though. There we go, we do push them back. Now, doesn't really matter what Basar does here. Ooh, Spectre Tenebria is going berserk. And now look, I get attack buff again because she turn cycles so freaking fast. Man, is even Basar gonna survive this fight? That's the power of Diene's damage mitigation. She doesn't really have any heals, but she prevents so much damage that she can still keep her team up. So now let's kill Charles. Charles is dead, deado. I don't even need to unbuffable them, so we'll just try and blind them again. He doesn't get crit. Diene, you beast! Can you save the Basar? That's the new name of this game. Save the Basar. Look at that. That barrier, you can't even break through the barrier because of the anti-crit. Heck, let's get rid of their barriers now. I'm the only one who's allowed to have barriers. Apoc Ravi goes down, FCC gets pushed back, and nope, no dice. We're going to give Basar that anti-crit buff again. And actually, she's going to turn cut and give him a barrier too. So, blip, 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 blip. Thick barrier. So against Charles, Apoc, Ravi, Ruel, and I don't even remember, FCC, Diene was able to have this Basar survive the entire fight. And this is what I mean. She doesn't really heal or anything, but her damage mitigation is insane. And she's constantly giving Spectre Tenebria attack buff. This is just what makes her such a great Soul Weaver. So now that we saw what Diene does in PvP, let's go to the summary. Summarization time. Is Diene good? She's god tier, and it's unfortunate that she's limited for those of you who don't have her because she's just that strong. Let's go over the Squirrel ratings. Arena offense. I'm going to give her a B+. I mean, she has an attack buff, but again, like Soul Weavers in arena offenses, you know, you're normally not using them very much unless you're trying to use some kind of like bruiser team, and whittling teams down. But she does have an attack buff and an anti-crit buff, so I'll give her a B plus there. For arena defense, I'm going to give her a D. She's pretty freaking awful at arena defense. Do not use her on arena defense. Back in the day, a long, long time ago, she was super meta on both offense and defense. Not anymore. You don't see her on defense for a reason. Guild Wars offense, I'll give her an S. I mean, it was kind of close, but she does have the attack buff. She does have damage mitigation and a barrier. The only thing that I kind of have a knock on her with Guild Wars offense is she had a lot of her damage mitigation is from this critical hit resistance buff. And you know, guys, I really hate RNG in Guild Wars. I try to minimize it as much as possible. And I've seen many times where I have this buff up and I still get crit like 10 times in a row. So maybe not always the most reliable Soul Weaver in Guild Wars, but if you want an attack buff and a cleanse and a barrier, then she's definitely still solid. Guild Wars defense, I still don't think she's that great. I'll give her like a C+. I don't really ever see her, even in my tier. She is pretty annoying, but honestly, like if you use something like a Diene, you'll probably just get cleaved, unless you do like double Soul Weaver DPS, and you'll still get cleaved. So I'd say Guild Wars defense, not her best bet. RTA, she is like definitely a hard S. Like you will see her everywhere in top tier RTA. It's either Maid Chloe, Ruel, or Diene. And then, you know, every once in a while you run into like SS Acades or regular Acades or something like that. But 90% of the Soul Weaver picks in top tier RTA will be Diene, Ruel, or Maid Chloe. And it's because of the attack buff. The attack buff and the damage mitigation from Diene is so strong that she's just a solid pick in RTA. So, and look at this. She has 90 points in politics, so she's really good at politics too, and she's very charming, and she has probably the coolest S3 in the game. So, yeah, I mean, if you have her, you probably use her already and you love her. If you don't have her, I feel bad for you because she's limited and she's just the best waifu in the game. But she'll come back. She'll come back. Don't worry, guys. So anyways, that's my review of Diene. Let me know who you guys want reviewed next. Make sure you like, subscribe, whatever that good YouTube crap. And thanks for watching. Till next time, guys. Peace out.